Morning, vegan sister. You home? Are you home? You back in Chicago? This is so bizarre. I think this is the first time I'm broadcasting from Brooklyn, so I'll have to forgive me. I feel a little like the background is different. It's a whole other place. You're a nomad. Well, welcome to the club. I don't even know if I can say welcome to the club. It's so funny. I'm in my husband's house and husband's apartment, and hey, Chichikov and Anna, Mayastar. Mayastar? Am I correct? Mayastar. Anna Mayastar. Anyway, welcome. I know there's a few other folks who are here who aren't showing up in the chat yet, so forgive me if I'm not saying good morning to you. Vegan Sister says, LOL, I am home, but I am leaving for Indiana in an hour. Uh-oh, that means you might not be able to be here till the end. Maya Star. Okay, cool. Welcome. Vegan Sister saying, I'm leaving for Indiana in an hour, which means, Vegan Sister, you may not be here for the end of this broadcast. So you better, if you're gonna jump on, you better jump on. Um, just something, just so you guys know, the last I heard from OG Mizen might be showing up for so we might be having a discussion with him. And I don't know, Vegan Gains might show up. What do you think? Think Vegan Gains will show up for a little thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about Vegan Gains during this broadcast. I'm going to talk a little bit about, probably not going to spend a lot of time talking about Joe Vegan, but I think that's something that people might be interested in having some, having said out loud, having some things said out loud. So definitely, if you have thoughts about that, do share them in the comment section. Oh, thank you for the applause, Anna Maya Star. And Kearney is here. Good morning, Kearney. So yeah, there's definitely there's been a little bit of conversation about, this whole debate of how to, frame the violence that we see coming from certain um, segments of the Islamic community. And, how do you, you guys, I'm number one on justice because there's probably nobody else who's fronting justice. Nobody else is fronting justice. I'm the only one. So welcome to justice, y'all, and thank you so much for making justice number one here today. Yeah, let's see what's going on. Us time is just gonna fly by. Here I am. I feel like just moments ago I was talking about, I was going to be going to Brooklyn and directing this play, and the next thing I know, we're gonna be back in Detroit, and there's gonna be this Pedagogy and Theater of the Oppressed conference, and who else? Somebody just said hello to Kat, but I'm not sure who Kat is. Matt Blender, good morning, and apologies to you for calling you Mad Vegan, but look, if the foo shoots, white it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I see. Cat the Troll Whisperer. Welcome, Cat the Troll Whisperer, to the channel. Yeah, but Mad Blender, I called you. Apparently, I haven't watched the video again since someone said, "Who's Mad Vegan?" But I pretty much was sure that if I said Mad Vegan, it was probably when I was referring to you. So many apologies for that. Well, I mean, you are a vegan. You're Matt Blender and you're vegan, but your name kind of goes beyond that. Sometimes when I think of Mad Blender, I think of somebody with like a Vitamix, a big, giant, powerful Vitamix, and they're just throwing things in there to see what happened, how they blend. And that's kind of you. I'm just saying, it's kind of you. Vegan Sister, a Mad Vegan does have a certain ring to it. It really does. And people were saying someone's gonna be Mad Vegan now. By the way, thank you for complimenting. I've been wearing this. I just feel like I'm feeling so much love for the group from Indonesia. actually, the group from Morocco left some lovely things at the house. The Indonesians also left some delicious vegan snacky things that I'm gonna wait until I get back to. I'm gonna wait until I get back to Detroit to have those. Actually, I have to make sure Ethan does something with those things so they don't like so the mice don't get to them. There's a bunch of people here now. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anyone. So yeah, we were talking about the potential agenda for today's discussion. Probably going to talk a little bit about. I'm going to show you guys a little bit closer. And it's not even really a scarf, you guys. I'm cheating. It's just a big piece of fabric. Should I not give away the mystery? It's a huge piece of fabric. So y'all might see this as all kinds of things. You might see it as you might see it as it might be a sari. It might be a sari this summer. You might see me wearing it, around my waist as pants. So yeah, thank you, thank you. Anna says I'm a mad ex-vegan. Well, yeah, that's interesting. I hope that you'll have some wonderful perspectives to bring to our discussions today. Like I said before, talking a little bit about vegan gains and what people's thoughts are. I have a particular thing that I want to talk about in terms of vegan gains, and that has to do with the kind of fans of vegan gains who have been talking to me on the channel, and also Vegan Gains made a video recently responding to comments on his channel. And I kind of want to talk about the fact that a lot of the people commenting were children. And um, is there a way that might we, in terms of our principles, our values, as just the people, vegans or not, um, temper the way that we speak to children? Temper the way that we speak to children, right? So yeah, it is totally multifunctional. Thanks, y'all. I actually realized because it's got this little red flex, and I tend not to try to be too much of a fashionista, although I do try to be a fashionista. I'm like I'm like a homeless like the homeless fashionista because I only have limited clothing to wear. But y'all, I'm gonna tell you this: if somebody finds a little red like scully cap, you guys know the kind of hats that I wear, right? If you find one that's like this color and it ended up in my house, I would wear it. I would wear it a lot. And you guys, because I'm bald, I wear hats, unless it's really, really hot. If it's at all chilly, I will have the hat on because, I don't have anything to keep my head warm. And we lose a lot of heat through our heads. And if you ever want to prove it, watch a bald person without a hat on a cold day and the amount of steam that you see rising off the top of their head. I've been that person. I've caught my reflection and been like, that's never happening again. Let's see. I stopped being vegan. Anna Maya Star says, I stopped being vegan because it affected my epilepsy and I was housebound after 18 months. I was disappointed with vegans who responded to why I'm no longer vegan vlog. They were pretty nasty. Nice to animals, but not to people. And I'm gonna say I get moved really easily, and that makes me really sad. I'm sorry that you went through that. That probably felt really awful. And it's not, I don't think that's the way because I believe that people, if veganism is really a lifestyle that seeks to avoid as far as possible or practicable the exploitation of animals for food, clothing, or any other reason, then we have to accept that if it's killing someone, that I don't want people to die. I don't want people to die. And I believe that if everyone practiced veganism to the extent that they could, it would have a tremendous effect on the planet, and so that we should embrace people who are doing their very best to avoid the exploitation of living things in any way. I mean, because we can even, I don't hate on me for this, y'all, but we can exploit even the plants, right? We can strip the landscape and make this landscape so infertile that nothing can live there, right? So we can exploit to the point, we can exploit living things, even non-sentient beings, to the point where we make the world unlivable for the sentient beings that depend on those, that depend on that life, right? And I don't know if, when I think about the planet itself, it's sort of like a huge living cell, right? It's what makes the planet itself any less of a living thing than any of us. And since the Earth, I think the the well-being of the planet trumps the well-being of any individual on the planet. I think. I don't know. Of course, I don't want to die. Like, I don't want to even think about sacrificing myself, even for like a lot of people. But I don't know. I don't know. It's a tough question. But again, just responding again to Anna and your experience, I'm sorry that you went through that. So there's conversations going on. Chichikov was asking, why did veganism trigger epilepsy? People are curious. Anna, if you want to guest, I would love to have you guest and talk about that experience. Of course, I don't want you to, you know, you know, no pressure, no pressure. But if you'd like to get on and answer some questions that people might have about that, um, then that's great. I also am aware that everybody here has a computer. Everybody here has a computer. And please tell me if I'm wrong. If any of y'all are like tuning in, like just through your own like neurons or whatever like that, please let me know and tell me how you're doing it, because that's cool. But I think most people here are on a computer and probably can Google stuff if you want to. But again, I do appreciate everyone's questions and curiosity. And so if Anna does want to jump on, you're in the bath, so I had to. I'm not saying that you can't guest because you're in the bathtub. I would not stop you. If you were interested in doing that, I would be happy to. And the last time somebody talked about being in bed and then not being able to guest, the next week we had the pajama episode. So we gonna have y'all ready for the bathtub episode, and everybody's gonna be in their bathtub, and we can all like do stuff. Anyway, I'm just running my mouth and being a wild person. You guys make me so happy. You have no idea. You have no idea how much I look forward to just spending this hour with all of you. All right, so yeah, so things that we might talk about again. Vegan gains, I've brought up this idea of like, how do we respond to young, young contributors, young viewers? Oh, vegan sister, biggest fear, dropping an electronic device in the bathtub. Well, I don't know about anybody else, and I've never done this. I've never broadcast from my phone, but you can put your device a little bit away, so then we'll all be a little bit away from our phones. Just everybody better be strategic with the bubbles, y'all. Be strategic with them bubbles, y'all. You know what I'm talking about. Have you little, I don't know. People could wear, if you want to wear a swimsuit or something in the tub, whatever. Anyway. So, oh, I go off on these tangents, y'all. What are you gonna do with me? What are you gonna do with me? Rein me in, y'all. Don't let me rant for this whole hour. I hope someone is interested. Lily K, bonjour. I would love somebody to jump on and just talk about anything you want to talk about. Don't feel like you have to stick to a particular topic just because it's one that I've expressed some interest in. It's just that there are things that have been being discussed all week. Joe Vegan being one, and even I think more than Joe Vegan, just the community's response to vegans who stop being vegan for whatever reason, be it health reasons, be it, economic reasons, be it because they just don't want to be vegan anymore. Um, well, I think it's probably a good idea not to completely bash your 10-year-old viewers. And that happened, didn't it? Mad Blender. I was really surprised, and I was thinking to myself, I'm going to say this about it though. All right, so you guys, I'm going to confess. Now that we have a little bit of a crowd, I'm going to tell you all my secrets. And I mean this, in the dearest way. I've been getting some responses from people who are obviously fans of vegan gains, And they're saying things like, "Oh, vegan gains is gonna get you," and stuff like that. And I'm like, "Oh my good, these are like gamers. These are people who are coming at this like it's a game. It's a video game. It's an adventure. It's role play. And like now I'm a character in the movie, and I'm like this villain. I'm like, I'm the Reg Flowers, this like craggy old social justice warrior guy who is coming after Vegan Gaines with his old big old bald head, and Vegan Gaines is gonna jack him up, pew 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 pew. He's gonna get me, and I love that. I love that I can provide that entertainment for the kids. I will act that role. I'll create a character that Vegan Gaines can destroy because I love children. I work with children a lot. And I've raised, oh my goodness, I have raised so many nieces and nephews from birth. My oldest niece is about to turn 30, y'all. My oldest niece is about to turn 30. And I have had some conversations with some children. Yes, yes. Matt Blender, you know how I responded. You know how I responded to your child. I was just like, what is he gonna do next? What is he gonna do next? I am so delighted by children, and I think part of it is because when I was studying to be an actor, all of my teachers were like, observe children, watch children, because children know how to live. They just know how to live. They see the world and see the wonder and can find the joy in anything. And the emotions swing both ways, right? But we're adults and we're rational, and so we don't have to get upset in the way that the way that children get upset. But we there's nothing wrong with experiencing joy in the way that children experience joy. So yeah, if it delights some 13-year-old to think that Vegan Gains is going to get that Reg Flowers, then come on. Yes, I will play that villain. I will make videos, and my hope is that my adult, my, my adult viewers will understand that what I'm doing, right? So, and even if y'all don't, whatever, the kids to me are more important. I don't care. So, Kalia H, hello, Kalia H, can you follow me? Where do you want us to go? Where are you taking me, and where are you? Do you mean follow you in the physical space, or do you want me to check out your channel? And whatever that is, sure, I'll give it a shot. I would love to see what you're doing, what you're talking about. Lily K says, it's funny how things go fast in the vegan community. In the US, I just stopped watching all of them. And when I come back, the vegan community is in drama. It's funny, yeah. I didn't like the whole birth of, say, like the vegan cheetah and all of those things, and Joe Vegan, all of those people suddenly were there and they were huge. And I didn't know how that happened. And I missed it because I be living, y'all. I don't know. I'm sure most people are too, but I missed that. Um, oh, you were uncle really early. You so Lily, Lily K, you know you sweet. You know you sweet. Yes, I was an uncle very early. I was an uncle at 2. I would love to see that matchup between you two. And it's true, and I will do it anyway. If people think it would be more entertaining to have me be, I'll twirl that mustache and you know, I'll come and think. I might even, because y'all know y'all still have to meet Dropsy. And for those of you who have not been paying attention, that I promised when I reached 2,000 subscribers, which happened, that I was going to introduce you all to Dropsy Dusman. And Dusman is Dousman, and Dropsy is, like drop SY. And now everybody's gonna go Google that, and you're gonna find Dropsy Dusman. You're gonna be like, oh, no. So next week, I'm actually doing a benefit for Altspace that will be a karaoke night. It's a karaoke reunion. I have been a karaoke host for about 10 years, and I host under the name Dropsy Dusman D, and again the last name is Dousman, and haven't been doing it obviously since I got to move to Detroit. But next week, a friend of mine kind of rented out the space, or at least the plan was originally to rent out the space, and then they decided it would be silly to rent out the space because why not just have people coming off the street? And so all the proceeds, the tips, whatever, are going to go to support alt space, and it will likely be to help finance the installation of an accessibility ramp to the front of a house, which is something that I've been wanting to do. And one of the inspirations for getting it done really quickly was that Grace Lee Boggs, for the last years of her life, was in a wheelchair. And I wanted Grace Lee Boggs to be able to come and visit the house, but things, and she got too sick, and then, she died. And so that didn't happen. But there are lots and lots of people who are part of the community that I belong to that can't get into the space. And I want them to be able to, especially now that the weather is getting nicer. And that space is going to be popping. You guys don't even know how much fun alt space is going to be now that the weather is getting nice. Let's see. YouTube is going now. I don't think my channel will go the way YouTube is going now, I don't think my channel will go anywhere, Anna is saying. So that's interesting. So I wonder if other people are sharing that feeling, that they just feel like there's not the potential for growth on YouTube. That's the other thing that people could talk about, is that people are feeling like, it might be time to find some alternative platforms. Not that I'm going to abandon YouTube. My channel is what it is and it's growing, but it's not going to hurt me to post my videos somewhere else. And definitely, I don't owe YouTube, exclusivity in terms of my content. And so, yeah, Matt Blender says, are there other platforms available? I don't know. That's a question, right? So I'm going to see what Cat Black does. Whatever Cat Black does, I'm following Cat Black. I'm going to follow Cat Black. Because my sense is where Cat Black goes, she's going to bring a lot of people with her. And I want to be right next to her. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And I don't know if people watch Philip DeFranco. I watch some Philip DeFranco. I guess the biggest channel that I watch that is not a vegan channel is Philip DeFranco. And I watch a little bit of the Young Turks, but that's just when I'm kind of following politics, because they will grab stories that I can then get better sources for. I don't know. I don't want to trash the Young Turks, but I don't watch the Young Turks when I want news, because they're so biased in terms of their presentation of stories that it's not even news. It's just them making fun of Donald Trump. Chichikov says people of opposing ideologies need to move on to the same platform together. It's essential that dialogues continue. Absolutely. I mean, Chichikov, I know you and I have had some disagreements, some very strong disagreements, but I love the fact that you have stuck with the channel, and I love the fact that you have stuck with the channel and that we can continue to have disagreements about these things. I certainly don't want to be in a vacuum, and I hope that the conversation will strengthen our knowledge and our understanding, and not just have us both being like holding fast. Although I think the Vegan Gains thing is going to be Vegan Gains holding very powerfully where he is, and I'm going to probably put on a cartoon that's going to be the same way. And again, I think that character will end up, with a little "I'm melting" moment. What a world! Who would have thought all of your beautiful muscle could have destroyed my beautiful wickedness? I'm going. A prize to the first person who can tell me what that reference is, right? What about this vegan thing? Okay, I never planned to make money from YouTube, but I think a lot of people will leave now because of the 80% cut in their ad revenue. Yeah, I don't know what is going on with that. I have to say that I was surprised at, when I was watching, I was getting notices before about videos that were no longer going to be monetized. And I'm going to say I've gotten less than 10. And y'all, I've posted over 500 videos. You guys, Food for Thought is about to have its 300th episode. What should I do to celebrate 300 episodes of Food for Thought? Not really a Vegan Gains thing, Lily. I posted a video because of Vegan Gains. There was for whatever was going on, Vegan Gains made some anti-Black Lives Matter statements, then made a few strong videos against Islam in general, not like terrorism, but against Islam across the board, and then identified himself as a member of the alt-right. And I was just confused about that. So I made a video asking some questions like, where are you getting this? Like, what's the logic and how do you feel like it's helping veganism? Because he seems to be mostly focused on veganism and in fact has made several videos where he says, I don't care about people. And because he doesn't care about people, it doesn't make sense to me why he's suddenly talking about people issues and like how is he bringing those back to the animals. And so he actually, if you go to that video, I think it's called Vegan Gains Worst of the Worst. And of course that was clickbaity. I don't think he's the worst of anything, but he has that worst of the fitness industry thing. So I thought that that would get people to watch the video. And then once you watch the video, you see that it's just these questions. But he responded, he left a comment saying, I think I'm going to respond to this because it's so cringy. My sense is that his response is that comment, and we're not going to see anything more about it on his channel. Hey, Rick Telly, thank you for becoming a fan. Plant Goals, hello. 300-ounce smoothie. I don't know if it's necessarily 300 ounces, but it's a gallon. It was a gallon. And it was, you can see the fill line. It was filled up to about there. I hope you are well this morning, Plant Goals. So happy to see you out and about. Let's see, who else has come in that I completely missed? Owen M, welcome. Thank you for joining us on the channel. So I don't see anyone guesting. That's fine. We're about halfway through this broadcast though. Is OGMizen here? Does OGMizen maybe have another name that I don't recognize? I don't see OGMizen in here, but OGMizen did want to have a chat. I don't know how much I want to share because I don't want it to be so much drama. But if you guys remember last week, I talked about the fact that, you know, OGMizen had seen my response from a nigger video. I'm sorry I said the word, but I feel perfectly fine saying the word. It's just a word. So Dropsy, Vegan Sister has Googled Dropsy. I can tell by that response that Vegan Sister has Googled Dropsy and knows a little bit about Dropsy. Anyway, that said, OGMizen requested to mirror the video, and I was like, well, I don't know how I felt about it. I thought it would be better to just link to it, although for most of my videos, guys, I use that Creative Commons license, so because of that, people can probably just use my stuff. I think that that's what that means. That was my point, is that I would rather people share it than not share it. But again, I would prefer if you were going to share it to link to it or like embed it in something. But be that as it may, so then I went and checked out OGMizen's channel, and two of the videos that he had made, I was just not, I wasn't feeling them. I wasn't feeling them. And they were things that I wouldn't even want to like get too into. I wouldn't want to necessarily have a debate with someone about those topics. I don't want to, yeah. Oh, Owen, that's Owen. Hey, Owen. So cool. Yeah. So if Owen, you want to jump in and you want to guess. So if you want to guess, you will save me the trouble of having to explain what happened. Anyway, but there were these particular ideas that I was not that into really having a discussion about. But and so I expressed myself about them last week that were pretty like you know how I get, y'all. You know how I get. And I got. But I think there was some misunderstanding that it was you know, a personal thing. And I think those of you who know me know that I don't really get that way. You guys know that there was another person who, you know, I had some disagreements with, who I was perfectly happy to like be like, come on, let's talk about these things. That didn't work out, and then that turned into a whole other thing. I don't want to bring it up. Somebody said, I like you spicy. Thank you. Thank you. I like to be spicy too. Um, so I'm gonna have to look on the last broadcast. Oh, when I left, it seems I missed something. Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, so what did Vegan Gains say about Joe? I don't know. I didn't watch Vegan Gains videos. I don't watch that much of Vegan Gains, but you know, other people talk about it, and then I have to watch the particular videos that they're commenting on just to see what they're talking about. And I've made, I think, 3 videos in all of the time that I've been posting videos, um, where I've mentioned Vegan Gains, just because I was just coming into the community and I didn't want to make huge. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be button in, but I've made videos about Vegan Gains in the past that got zero response, zero response. So I was really surprised when people responded in the way that they did to this video, the Vegan Gains video. I was glad that they did. My intention was that people would do it. All right, so hold on. I've got Owen in the queue now. So we're going to. You guys are going to meet. You guys are going to meet OGMizen, and I'm also gonna learn how to pronounce it.
Yo, hello.
And how's it going? Can you? By the
Am
way,
I
I never
coming
checked
through
in to
all
see
right?
if you guys could hear me well. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Can you hear
Oh
me?
wait, hold on. You're the first person that's talking, and I realize I've got my headphones. Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, it's about 4 o'clock over here, so in the afternoon, so it's not morning
4 o'clock in the
anymore. But
afternoon, not 4 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, no,
That's some hardcore.
yeah,
If you were
no,
going to be joining me at 4 o'clock in the morning. All right.
no,
So,
no.
so hello and welcome. And so, could you do you mind introducing yourself to the folks and telling them, like Lily is asking where you are and all that stuff like that? Tell them a little about who you are, where you're coming from.
Yeah, my audio's a bit low on this, so I don't know what's going on with my speakers, but we'll make it work. Um, yeah, I'm Owen. I'm about 28, I think. I always forget. Um, I'm from UK, South UK in Cornwall. Been vegan for about 3.5 years now. Um, I'm a dad. I've got 1 kid now and 1 on the way. I'm a psychology student, so doing all that sort of stuff at the moment, and I do a bit of YouTube. So yeah,
Cool. Well, welcome to the channel. So, Owen, just so people kind of have a framework, we found each other when you saw my, I guess it was actually it was a response to Vegan Gains and the whole use of the word nigger, and
yeah,
also kind of like where we are politically, and just I'm not going to say that I was in a moment, but it was also an exhausting day. I was making those video responses to Unnatural Vegan.
right,
There were other things going on in the community, and I just felt like I needed a good rant. I needed
yeah,
a good rant, and so that video got made.
yeah,
And you saw that video, and you had some thoughts about that, and you can talk about that. I mean, I'd rather not spend have you talking about me, but I'd rather you have to talk about like where you're coming from in your own political space that kind of made that grab your attention, and how that spoke to you, and how
right,
it fits in with what you're doing and where you're coming from.
right. Cool. That's a good idea. So yeah, I came across that video. Hold on. I came across that video just a couple of weeks ago or whatever, and in that video you hit a bunch of, as I said in the video to you, I don't know if the audience knows about this, but we've obviously spoken through comments. I made a short private video, sent it to you to sort of say, this is my motivation for wanting to speak to you, this is where I'm coming from. And so even in my video to you, I sort of said, you've hit a lot of nails on the head in terms of like the same sort of positions I'm arriving at the moment, because I got into all of this sort of political stuff, especially the kind of, I don't know, social justice side of it, and this kind of yeah, I guess social justice sort of stuff, intersectional sort of stuff, which I've criticised in my videos. I got into all of this stuff by being a libertarian, by being an anarcho-capitalist, actually, being essentially pro-freedom for everybody, as much freedom as we can get without, you know, messing the whole thing up, is essentially was my fundamental starting point. And I, over time, sort of listening to different podcasts, listening to different people on the internet and stuff, I got into all kinds of different ideas, all kinds of different positions, and have essentially adopted the oppositional position to this sort of social justice, identity politics sort of stuff. I don't want to say I align with people like Milo Yiannopoulos, because I find the guy, you know, contemptible, annoying, just generally quite a horrible human being. But I'm generally in that camp of kind of, I don't like this social justice stuff. I don't like the identity politics sort of side of it. And I guess I've come in on one side of the debate. And for a long time, I'm sort of learning my arguments, my side of the debate, my position, and learning the other side, and sort of taking it from one side of the fence. And it's only sort of recently that I thought, you know, really being serious about it, because on some level it's entertainment to a lot of people. And you said this in your video, it's one of the points that I think you really nailed, is that for some level, or on some level for all of us, this is like, it's kind of like a fun game. It kind of becomes like there's an entertainment level where it's like, I'll argue my position and then they'll argue back, and we'll have a big debate, and I'll make him look silly and they'll make me look silly. And it's kind of like, that is fun, if that's your idea of fun to a certain point, and if there is an entertainment value to it. But to actually look at the situation seriously, and because the way I look at this sort of identity politics and social justice, the division between these different camps, I don't think it's heading in a good direction. I think it's heading to some very nasty stuff, if I'm perfectly honest. And I started looking at it thinking, okay, well, I know what position I would take if I wanted to have this kind of entertainment video game version of politics. But what position would I take if I wanted to reduce the amount of conflict, and I wanted to look at it from a more objective standpoint and a less biased standpoint, and try to resolve this and try to bring some positive result out of it? And it certainly wasn't the position I've been taking. It wasn't this position of like dehumanize the other side, make out like they're complete idiots, like they have no valuable arguments whatsoever, and talk up your own side and minimize the faults on your own side, which is what everyone's doing. And I sort of had this moment where I realized that's not the sensible, serious, adult, mature approach to this whole sort of situation. And it was as I was having that sort of realization that, hey, you might want to grow up and actually be realistic about this stuff. It's not to say that I've abandoned all of my previous positions and that the information I've seen is no longer relevant and stuff like that. Just to say, I want to take a more serious and mature approach to all of this. And I was coming to those positions just as I found your video. And it hit all of the notes of the kind of, I said to the video that I sent to you, in the video I sent to you, one of the main points I really liked in your video was this idea that we're all filthy. You said we're all filthy, like there's blood on everyone's hands in this thing, and it's not even in the political sense, it's on an entire human level. Just as humans, there's kind of blood on all that, and we all fall into this this wanting to turn this into entertainment, wanting to make a kind of joke and song and dance about it. And yeah, I think your video hit me at a perfect time to make me sort of realize, like, or at least help me sort of realize and help me come to that realization of, I don't hate these people, there's nothing particular about them that I hate. I disagree with their position, but I don't think the way that we've been disagreeing, the way we've been having this discussion is productive for anybody. And yeah, that video just nailed so many things for me. So I wanted to just kind of share it about. But yeah,
Cool. All right. So first of all, I mean, thank you again for sharing that. And um, I think I think in the spirit of what you're saying, I think we're in agreement. There's some points that I'd like to maybe clarify. I don't necessarily see what I do on YouTube or in my life as just entertainment, but I do understand that in the marketplace, right? Once we've created these things, we have no control over how they're commodified, right? So,
yeah,
for someone they're just entertainment, for someone else they're deeply meaningful, and
yeah,
some people are really fighting for their lives in
yeah,
terms of this work, in terms of in terms of what they're trying to do. And sometimes it's fighting for the animals' lives, right? Sometimes it's fighting for the lives of others. Some things that I want to just get a little greater sense of clarity, because you talk about social justice, and I think what I have come to understand is when people talk about social justice, they're not necessarily talking about the same thing. So, what is your
yeah.
understanding of social justice?
My understanding of what I loosely refer to as social justice, terms for these different things, it's hard to really get the right one every single time. But my kind of definition of what I've understood social justice to be about is essentially define a bunch of groups, a bunch of classifications. Um, they can be whatever, we all know the groups. And you define those groups and you say that between those groups there should be an equality of outcome. So, just take men and women. Between men and women, if they do the same job, oh no, sorry, that's not what I'm saying. If you take men and women in society as a whole, as a one big group, or two big groups rather, and you look at their outcomes in terms of like earnings or something like that, social justice in my mind says that a man and a woman in general should earn the same amount of money. So it's bringing that kind of parity to the outcomes that they have. And the reason that I'm opposed to that is because in my mind it's either you have equality of outcome in terms of men and women in the end earn the same amount of money in general over their stuff. In order to achieve that, you have to, on some level, sacrifice equality of opportunity. So I don't know if I'm kind of over answering your question. Is there something more you want?
No, no, but I do see that our understanding of social justice is different, which is why I asked the question, because I think
Yeah,
something that's really important as we have these dialogues is to be clear on our definitions,
yeah, yeah,
because my for me social justice is equitable opportunity and equitable access to opportunity, resources, and power. It's equitable
right,
access to opportunity, resources, and power. And I think that there's a huge difference between what equity is and what equality are. And I think that those two terms being conflated likely leads to a lot of the misunderstanding and a lot of the fear that people experience when they think about social justice.
right,
Because I think that we could agree that people should have, you know, equitable. I want to say equitable because even the word fair starts like what is that?
yeah,
But
yeah.
equitable access to opportunity, resources, and power. Um, how do you feel about that?
Well, what's the distinction between equitable access to opportunities, resources, and power, and what I would call equality of opportunity, where there's no, as long as there's no legal impediment to any particular minority getting a job or whatever, that in terms of the law, at least, there is no kind of, blacks can't work here, women can't work there, no gays allowed or anything like this. I think as long as there's equality of opportunity, uh, here's something that might clarify. Would you believe or would you say that freedom of association, the freedom to say that you don't want to serve certain people in your business, the freedom of association is as important as quality of opportunity?
See, I don't know how I feel about that. That's not something that, because that doesn't resonate deeply for me, right? My and when we talk about social justice, I mean, first, again, coming to some clarity around that definition and some agreement about just that fundamental, because if you kind of look up social justice,
Yeah.
that's how it's defined, and that is why I feel comfortable embracing that term, social justice, because I
Okay.
understand
So
it to be equitable access to opportunity, resources, and power.
right.
And so
The question
just
is,
being clear on that, like,
yeah.
and maybe if you have problems with that, then we can start to really have a conversation.
Yeah.
But until we can be clear on whether
So
we have some
what's
agreement there, then
what's the difference between equitable access to, say, resources or services, whatever? Um, what's the difference between equitable access to opportunities and equal access to opportunities?
well, I mean, because equitable keeps in mind that everyone's different and everyone has different needs. And
Right.
equal means like we don't regard people's differences and needs. Equal to me means that regardless, everybody gets the same, right?
Yeah.
Whether they've struggled for it or worked or care or want it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Whereas like if I don't
Yeah.
want it, why are you trying to give me that? And equitable gives some space for people to stand back and say, I don't necessarily want that, right?
Right.
Or you know, equitable takes into account that someone might be in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And if we say everybody can walk up the stairs, everybody is allowed to walk up the stairs,
Right.
but
Yeah.
somebody's in a wheelchair and they physically cannot walk up the stairs, that's
Yeah.
not equitable. It's
Okay. I
equal,
got you.
but it's not equitable.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I've got you. I've got you. So here's how I would sort of put it, and here's the fundamental question or problem that I have with social justice right then, because my ideal society, and you probably disagree with this, I assume, given what we've sort of said so far, my ideal society would be to have.
I'm sorry, hold on. I hate to interrupt
Yep,
you, but
that's fine.
you've got people excited here and they're
Yeah.
making comments, and I just want to make sure we don't ignore them, right? We have to
Yeah,
check
that's
in on
fine.
them because we'll reach the end of this broadcast. Okay, so uh, 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 you know, there was a question about intersectionality. We'll get there. We'll get to intersectionality, Lily. Someone said, someone said, I like watching the watching baseball analogy of equality versus equity. I'll talk about that, Vegan Sister. Nomad Signal says, I'm not understanding the difference here between quality of opportunity and equitable access. And I think, Nomad, I think you're talking about equality of opportunity and equitable access. So I think, yeah, so yes. So that I think we've got some clarity there. So the
Yeah.
difference between equality and equitably
Yeah.
and equity is everyone is allowed to walk up the stairs. That is equality.
Yeah.
Understanding that it is physically impossible for some people to walk upstairs, so we need an elevator,
Yeah. 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 For sure.
right?
I agree with that. Yeah.
That is equity, so that we have
That's
different ways to, make that access more possible
yeah.
for people who may have, limits to the way that they.
Yeah.
And social justice just says it's not enough to have everyone allowed to walk up the stairs. Some people
Yeah.
might need
Are
an
going to need a
elevator.
hand. Yeah. Yeah.
Some people might need an elevator. And the whole idea of an elevator, right? Because the elevator means that I can get up there by myself. I don't need anyone to carry me up those stairs.
Yeah.
Because then that's something that ends up happening. People end up having to be
Right.
carried up the stairs, and the people doing the carrying are mad. So so I
Right.
just want to make sure that
Right.
we tied in. The baseball analogy that somebody else brought up is like if there's a big fence, right, and everybody's trying to watch the baseball game, I'm a tall person, so I can stand there. I don't need a box to watch the
Right.
game,
Yeah.
right? But if we're all given a box and some person
Yeah.
stands on their box and they're able to see because of that box, right? Great.
Right.
And then somebody else stands on their box and they can't see yet, but I have a
Yeah.
box that I don't need. Equity would be me giving the box to the person who needs two boxes to be able to see,
Right. Right. Now,
and
this is a,
me not getting a
I,
box because I don't need the box. That's not that's
right.
that's equality is
Got
everybody
to,
getting a box.
yeah. Yeah. I
Equity
think we've
is
got to,
some people getting two, some people getting it, right? So that's
yeah, I think
so
we've
I just
got
want to make
to
sure.
something. Hold on. I think we've got to something here that we can sort of grab the problem as it is. So my problem with that, I don't have a problem with giving people boxes. I don't have a problem with building the elevators, right? I'm happy to help those people out. The question is, how do you get those boxes and where do you get them from? If you use the state, okay, use government through taxes, through force to take money from other people and give, take the box away from you and give it to this person who needs a box, right? That's where I fundamentally disagree with the social justice approach. In my ideal world, you'd have a equal opportunities world, but you'd also have charity. So it's like, because this is one of the fundamental gripes I have with social justice is I agree that the person should get a box. I agree we should have elevators. I agree with all of this stuff. I'm totally down for that side of it. I just don't agree with the fact that we have other people are forced to give their boxes up and give their sort of tax money to these people. That's one thing, but not only that, when you take sort of my money to pay for someone else to have a box, which I've not got a huge problem in, but when you take it from me and give them my money for a box, it's like you're taking from me my opportunity to be generous and to help that person out and to be kind to that person through charity. Because I'd gladly help these people get their, if someone's born with some kind of disability, if someone's born with some kind of less than capacities in some sense, I'm happy to help that person out. But I don't like being forced to help that person out. That's where I have a fundamental problem,
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things we're talking about here. One is like the solutions, right?
Yeah.
We can both be social justice advocates and disagree completely in terms of solutions.
Right.
And so what you're talking about, there's a solution that you sense is going to be preferred that you're not in agreement with.
Yeah.
And you know what? You'd be surprised to find out that there might be a lot of people who are social justice advocates who agree with you. Me personally, I'm gonna tell you about me personally, right? I don't think. Why should you? I don't want you giving. I don't want to. I don't want to categorize you or anything. I don't want to talk. I don't know how much money you make or whatever. But I'm guessing. I'm guessing that it's not your box that I'm interested in seeing
Yeah.
given to anyone.
Yeah.
It's that mofo that got 75 boxes dusty in a closet that they're never going to see, never going to use, that wouldn't give a single one of them for someone else to be able to have a box to stand on. So like, I'm talking about in my particular mode of operating, I'm not worried about the person who's struggling to get by, who doesn't even have a box. And if they have a box, it's a rickety box that's about to collapse, right? I'm more concerned with people who are so concerned with, owning every inch of available resource, everything in the world, and then want to make sure leave everybody else fighting for the scraps so that we're fighting over terms like social justice, right? When the fact of the matter is, that's not a conversation between us. We're not. I'm not interested in what you have too much of, and are trying and need to give up. I'm talking about a struggle, and in many ways, it is the state who is protecting. The state is performing its own type of welfare for the wealthy, and assuring that
Right.
the
Yeah. Oh,
wealthy
yeah. Yeah.
continue to get more and
Oh,
more
yeah.
than they should have access to for the health of society.
Yeah. Which is where
So,
the equality of
mhm,
opportunity comes in, though. If you don't have the state there taking subsidizing corporations and incentivizing, let's just say, bad behavior with certain kinds of welfare and stuff like this, if you don't have the state rigging the game against people, which is really, I completely agree, that's really happening. You know, screwing over third world countries for corporate profits for their little buddies.
mhm,
If you didn't have the government who had a monopoly on force, who was willing to enforce these kinds of things and make this really lopsided kind of system,
mhm.
I think there'd be less of a problem with that kind of inequality. But that brings me on to an interesting question, actually. Do inequality of income, or yeah, just the fact that there are some really rich people and there are some really poor people, I guess you'd say that you should take some from the rich and give some to the poor, in the most basic kind of way of putting it.
Mm-mm. No,
No?
no. To me, it's not even about like taking from people and giving to other people.
Right.
To me, it's about what should be allowed to be owned in the first place, right? So, for example, like if I could go out into the woods and cut down a tree and, mill that lumber myself and make my own box, I don't need anybody to give me anything, right? Or if I can be working in the context of a community where we have trees and like some people will either people who make
Yeah.
trees, you cut down trees and make boxes, and other people can teach children and other people, right? And we all
Yeah.
have our ways that we contribute to society.
Yeah.
If that is possible, then it shouldn't be a matter of needing to take things for everything. It's just making sure that within a society, we have
Yeah.
those resources that are collectively owned that can be utilized by the member of that society to provide for themselves. So I don't, so like, okay, if you are really good at making stuff and you make a badass crib for yourself with your
Yeah.
ability to do that, go ahead with your bad self. I'll come over. We'll be drinking brewskis, right?
Yeah.
But people should have the people should have, there should be an opportunity. There should be a reserve within a society so that the members of that society are able to provide for themselves, so that people can have a little plot of land so that they can grow some food. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that anybody necessarily needs the right to go to the grocery store. Nobody necessarily needs the right to even turn on a tap and have water just come rushing off, or flick a switch and have electricity come. I'm not saying that anybody necessarily needs the rights to any of those things, but people should be able to provide for themselves. People
Yeah.
should be able to provide for themselves. And I think sometimes when we get caught up in equality, we're talking about an equality to do shit that's fucked up. I'm sorry, y'all know I don't like to curse, but sometimes just to get to the bottom of it, let's just express it.
Yeah.
I don't want to have the equality to do horrible things. I
Right.
don't want to have the equality to waste so many of the planet's resources that the planet is in jeopardy.
Mm.
So I don't even like to get into the who's going to have what taken from them.
Yeah.
Let's I want to ensure that it's not possible for anyone to do more damage than can be undone.
Right.
And that for someone to make it possible for someone not to be able to have access to the things that they need based on their ability to do things for themselves.
Right.
Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd struggle to put it into like political terms, like here's how you build that system. But yeah, sure. And I agree with what I said in the messages to you. I think we definitely agree in large part on the outcome that we want and the world that we want. We want a peaceful, happy world where people get along, people have enough, and we don't have these kind of divisions, we don't have these kinds of problems. But yeah, I guess the question is how we get there. And that's,
Hmm.
that's a big topic. So,
I just want to get, so just glowing me, hello, welcome. The anarchist spectacle, welcome. So just going me says very objectivism, Ayn Rand, and I know this much about Ayn Rand. I'm not a huge fan because I think there's a little bit of a fantasy world happening operating with that whole thing, but whatever, people, whatever. So I would be interested in what Just Glowing Me has to say about that. Um, Also, oh, this broadcast is going to be over. Somebody asked me the question, what is your opinion of anarcho-syndicalism? Um, uh, Syndicalism. And I'm going to say anarchist spectacle. I'm not sure, but I don't know a lot about anarchy, but I am fascinated with the idea. And I think what I'm talking about is along the lines of anarchy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Is along
I'm
the
an
lines of anarchy.
anarcho-capitalist.
But
I
again, what
know. I know.
how do you make
Uh,
anarchy operate in a system where you have
yeah.
exploiters waiting along the edges?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know. So
Yeah.
listen to me. It's been delightful to talk to you,
Yeah.
but
I agree.
this broadcast is coming to a close. So again, you're welcome to come back at any time, obviously, and I'm looking forward
Cool.
to the videos you're gonna make next week.
Those I'm going to make next week.
I'm very interested in the videos you're gonna make next week.
Oh,
That's what
right.
I'm gonna
Oh,
say.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very interested in the videos you're going to make next week. And like I said, my assumption was that we were going to have a conversation and we were going to end up pretty like you were saying that we were on opposite ends of the. I was like, I don't think so, and I don't think we are we? No,
No,
not at all.
in some senses maybe, but not fundamentally. No. No.
Like yeah, I mean, yeah. I think at the core we're hoping for the same, not the same
Yeah.
world, but we're looking for a kind of fairness of being. Um,
Yeah.
and my sense was I sensed that about you, so I was
Yeah.
surprised by
Cool.
things, and I thought a lot more had to do with just the way we're defining things. And I think we
Yeah.
have other things to define. So hopefully we'll come back. We didn't talk all about intersectionality, so next time.
Yeah. Next time you can tell me why I'm wrong about intersectionality.
Or maybe we'll find some middle ground, is all. Or maybe we'll find a middle ground
Yeah.
because I know that
Yeah.
there is a school of thought around intersectionality that I don't agree with at all. And it's a
Right.
misapplication of the term.
Okay.
But it's one that has become very popular, and I agree that it's something that needs to be discussed. So we can maybe talk about that the next time. But that said, any
Yeah.
last words before you sign off with the people?
Just cheers for having me on. It's been a good chat. I've enjoyed speaking to her, and hopefully we can do it again soon. My channel, is it okay to plug my channel?
Come on, OGMizen.
OGMizen.
I've called you out. Not called you out in a bad way, but I've said the
Yeah.
name of your channel several times. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, it's OGMizen. Check out the channel, and the next time he's back, you guys
Cool.
can have more questions for him. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Erica Mugginson, for the 400 likes, and we'll say goodbye to you, OG.
Yeah.
Owen.
Cool. Cheers.
Cheers. Here we are. Plant Gold says conservative with dreads. Who knew? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess do you call? I mean, I guess libertarians are the conservative. Libertarians are as far left of conservatism as you can get. Yes, Kearney B, thank you for the 50 likes. Yeah, it was a fun chat, right? Come on, y'all. Y'all know how it goes. This is why I really love it when folks who feel that there's a sense of disagreement get on the channel because I think we all find that if we're human beings. Hey, Flemfix, thanks for the 10 thumbs up. You guys, it's been great having thank you for the applause. Y'all got let the love shower. Y'all are great. Okay, so that's it. This was again, thank you guys for joining me. It was my first successful live stream from Brooklyn. We're going to be getting for the entire month of April and for most of May, we're going to be getting live streams from Brooklyn. So please do continue to check out the channel, and we'll see what's going to be up. For those of you who, that's it for this broadcast. That's it for this video. For those of you watching on YouTube, like it if you like it, share it, comment, subscribe. This is Reg signing off. Love yourselves. Peace.